In this episode of our Sailing Tech Tip series, I go over some routine maintenance for our Harken winches. Now, winches are really critical components that we rely on a daily basis as we're sailing. So it's important to do routine maintenance on them to inspect the components and identify any problems so that we can resolve them before they become an issue as we're sailing. And this ensures smooth operation. To disassemble, first start by using a flathead screwdriver to remove or loosen the center screw which holds in the socket assembly. Now there's also in power winches you'll have a pin that's spring loaded, which is used to engage and disengage the electric motor. Basically when you push in your winch handle, it disengages the motor so that you can winch manually. The next step is to remove the self-tailing cover and bracket. You do this again using a flathead screwdriver. You loosen the screws that are holding the cover on, and you loosen them enough so that you can lift the cover up slightly and then turn counterclockwise so that you can line up the holes and remove it. As you remove it, go ahead and inspect the grippers and also the stripper for any unusual wear. Now this was the first time that I had removed and serviced this winch, and I noticed as I was removing these screws that two of the screws did not have anti-seizing on them, so that's something that I'll take care of later on when I'm reassembling. Removing the drum here, I inspect the teeth on the drum for any unusual wear. Everything looks good so far. Next, remove the center shaft and also inspect it. Looking at the base of the shaft, I noticed some material in addition to the grease, so I'll be checking into that as I remove the rest of the components. Now you move the main assembly housing by using hex wrenches. I used a 6mm wrench. Yours may be 5mm. Really depends on your model. These are Harken 46s.
Clean, that's good.
Once you've loosened all the hex screws, lift the assembly up slowly. As you can see, there is a pin on the assembly that holds one of the gears in place. So just make note of that as you're taking it off, as you're also inspecting for any other unusual wear. Now, I've always found it really helpful to either take video or pictures of things before I get into heavy disassembly here. So I just wanted to capture the positions of each of the gears. Now, before I move on to cleaning the rest of the components, I start by cleaning off the base. I basically take a paper towel to knock down any of the built-up grease and grime. I also use a cleaner lubricant called Shield T9, which is really good for in the marine environment. Then I move on to cleaning and lubricating the rest of the components. Again, I start off with a paper towel to knock down the heavy grease and grime. I find that keeps my shop rags free for the finer work. Start off with the main assembly housing and clean it. Inspect the bearings for any unusual wear. These do not require lubrication, so just clean them with a clean rag and reassemble. Then basically you move on to the remainder of the components. Here I am cleaning off the center shaft, and again noted that additional material that's at the base of it. You want to make sure that you don't lose that center pin and spring. I go through each of the gears and clean them off. First with just a paper towel. And then once I'm done cleaning the major grime off with a paper towel, then I will move to using a cleaner degreaser to get the rest of the old grease off of it. I found that using a brush to get in between the teeth of the gears is really the easiest way to get all of the old grease off, even with a degreaser. Once I've finished cleaning all of the components off, I like to start off by oiling the pawls. So I take some Harken pawl oil, put 1 drop in each one, and then I exercise the pawls to work the oil in. For the other gears and components, I use a small brush and apply some Harken grease to the brush, and then I apply that to the gear teeth in a light manner. You don't want to be too heavy on it. So again, having recorded and taken video and then reviewed that video, you basically reverse your steps and put the gears back in to the base. So this last little gear, that's the one that's held in by the pin that is in the main housing, assembly housing. So I just put that in on the guide and then carefully install the assembly housing over it and line up the screws. Now remember, when I took out the strip arm support, I noticed that some of the screws did not have seizing on them, anti-seizing. So I went ahead and made sure that as I reinstalled all the screws, as called out by the Harken user manual, I installed anti-seizing on them. This will make the job of routine maintenance in the future a lot easier, as I don't have to struggle to get these off. So for the anti-seizing, I actually use some Lanacoat. There's other anti-seizing products that you can use. This one I've found down in Antigua. So you can pretty much find these in chandleries just about anywhere in the world. So when you are reassembling, just put in the screws for the strip arm support. Uh, only so far. Remember, they have to stick up a little bit so that you can place the strip arm support cover over it and then twist. Here I install the stripper itself in approximate location of where I think it should be. Using the way that this, basically the way that the screws are installed on this, you can rotate this to several positions depending on how you want the line to be stripped off the winch. Now, the last thing is to reinstall the socket into the winch, and to do this, I use a small punch or nail driver to turn the center screw back on to the winch. Once I get it tight, then I'll use my large flathead screwdriver to finish tightening it. Once that is done, all that is left is a quick test to make sure everything is working properly. So I test both speeds, and that worked. And then I put in the winch handle and work both directions as well, just to make sure. Everything works good, everything feels good, nothing's binding. So that's it. That's how easy it is to service a winch. So that's it for this episode. If you found this useful, please give it a thumbs up. Leave any ideas or suggestions for improving it in the comments. And that's it. Fair winds and following seas.